Okay, so good morning class. I hope you are able to listen to my voice and you are able to see my screen. Okay, so let us try to recap what we are doing in the previous class. Okay, so in the previous class we are talking about one of the major functionality of the network layer, and that is forwarding packets to the next hop device, right? So we said that the network layer is responsible for device-to-device communication. Right now, this device-to-device communication can happen in two different ways. The device-to-device communication could be a direct communication if the source and destination devices are there in the same machine or same network, or if the destination device and the last hope device is there in the same network. Then a device-to-device communication can happen directly. In this particular scenario, the source address has to be converted into a corresponding MAC address, and then a data link layer frame is to be generated with the corresponding MAC address, destination MAC address, and then this frame is transmitted onto the network so that the frame is actually reaching onto the other end. However, if the source and destination devices are not there in the same network, then the communication between two devices could happen indirectly. That is, the source and the destination devices are on a different network. So the source device has to find out what is the most appropriate next hop device to whom I could send the packet in such a way that the next hop device will in turn forward that packet to the destination device. For example, in this particular case, the source and the destination devices are on the different network. So the source device decided to forward the packet to the intermediate router, and the intermediate router will in turn forward that packet to the destination device. So this kind of communication between device is called the indirect communication between devices, right? So network layer is responsible for both implementing the direct communication between two devices as well as the indirect communication between two devices. When it comes to direct communication, there is not much of the role from the network layer. The only role that network layer plays is that the network layer converts the IP address into the MAC address using the ARP and RARP protocol, right? So the network layer will actually use the destination IP address of the inside the packet, right? And then using the destination IP address, which is mentioned in the IP header of the IP packet, it simply use the ARP protocol to convert that into MAC address, and then it will hand over the MAC address to the data link layer, and then the data link layer will be able to form the data link layer frame, and this data link layer frame will be ultimately placed on the physical network, right? So when it comes to direct delivery, the only thing that the network layer has to do is to convert an IP address into the MAC address using an ARP protocol, nothing else. But when it comes to an indirect delivery, yes, the job of network layer is increasing here, because the network layer is not only responsible for converting an IP address into the MAC address in this case, but the network address also has to find the appropriate next hop IP address to which which the packet can be sent, and then that next hop device is in turn required to forward this particular packet to the ultimate destination, right? So this particular process of taking a packet from the one device and handing over the packet to the next hop device to this destination, to its route to the destination, this particular process is called the forwarding process. Okay. In the previous class, we have seen that there are various types of forwarding process and how this forwarding process can be implemented, right? So there are two basic approaches for implementing the forwarding process. One is called the next hop address based the forwarding process, and the other is called the route based forwarding process. In the next hop address based forwarding process, we only have to remember the IP address of the next hop, right, to whom we need to send the data, and then the next hop in turn will take care of how to take that particular packet further, right? But we do not have to remember the entire route, we just have to remember the next hop IP address. Whereas in case of the route based forwarding method, you have to remember the entire route which is used to forward that data from the source device to the destination device, right? So we have taken an example here that let's say we have a host A which is connected to host B using intermediate device R1 and R2, right? Then in the host base and the route base forwarding mechanism, you have to remember the entire route. So host A has to remember the entire route, that if I want to send data to B, I have to first send it to R1, and then R1 has to send it to R2, and then R2 will in turn forward the data to host B. So this is the entire route from A, right? So first you have to send to R1, then you have to send to R2, and then the R2 will in turn send data to B. So that is the entire route from A to B, right? So in the route-based forwarding method, we have to remember the entire route, and based on the entire route, then we'll be forwarding this data to the next device. So A will be then forwarding data to R1, and then you will check on the R1 that what is the route information. So route says that you have to forward to R2, and R2 will in turn forward to B. Then R1 will in turn forward that packet to R2, and then R2 will check the routing table, which says that host B is directly connected. So send this data directly to host B. Okay. But ultimately, in order to forward data to the next hop device, because we know that an IP protocol is basically a connectionless and store and forward based mechanism protocol. So in order to forward the packet to the next hop destination, the only thing that we need to know is the IP address of the next hop, and we do not need to know the entire route, right? Because the next hop, it is the responsibility of the next hop device to determine how do we forward this particular packet further. Our responsibility, or the current device, is only responsible for forwarding that packet to the next hop, and then forget about that particular packet, right? So that is what we discuss when we are talking about connectionless and store and forward mechanism based network design. Okay, so what it says that you did not, so the device A did not have to remember what happens to the packet when you send it to R1. It is the responsibility of R1 to make a decision, right? It is not the responsibility of A to make a decision that what will happen to the packet when the packet reaches onto the R1. Similarly, when the packet reaches onto the R2, it is the responsibility of R2 to decide what to do with this particular packet. R1 has nothing to do with it, right? So the only thing that the R1 has to know is that I have to forward it to R2, and then the R2 will take care of it. The only thing host A has to know is that I have to forward this packet to R1, and then R1 will take care of it, right? So therefore, instead of having a routing table based methodology, it is far better that if we can have a next hop IP address based methodology, where the routing table only consists of the information of which next hop IP address I should be forwarding this particular packet, and then it is a responsibility of that particular next hop device to decide how to forward that particular packet further. Okay, this is also scalable and fault tolerant, because see, we are saying that the route is R1, R2 host, right? But it may happen that the connection between R1 and R2 are gone, and now this particular route, that is R1 to R2 and R2 to host B, this particular route is no longer valid, right? But there is an alternate route exists, like R1 to X, X to R2, and then R2 to B, right? So, but if you are fixing out the route in the routing table based information, right, method, if you are fixing out this particular route, and if the route is no longer valid, we have to update this particular information in all the routing tables which are there, right? Whereas in case of routing information, next hop IP address based routing, you just only need to update this information on the corresponding route. What is the corresponding route here? R1 is the only device that has to know that this particular network is no longer available. Now you can reach the R2 via some intermediate node X, right? So the only thing that you need to change here is that you need to change the routing table of R1, saying that if I want to reach host B, I have to send my data to X. And then routing table on X will say that, okay, if I want to send reach to host B, I have to send this particular data to R2, and then R2 will in turn directly be connected here, right? So that is what we discuss in the routing table based method for forwarding the packets, and next hop IP address based method for forwarding the packet. So this will also reduce the amount of information that you need to store in your routing table, right? Because now you have to only store the information about the next hop IP address, and you need not require to store the information about the entire route, right? So in terms of storing the data into the routing table, this particular methodology of next hop based methodology is much better than the routing based methodology. Again, we discussed that you do not to store the IP address of the next hop device, but rather sometimes it is very much beneficial to store the network address of the next hop device, or network address of the next hop destination, because the next hop can be multiple devices, and all these particular devices will be connected onto the single network. So if all the devices are connected onto the single network, instead of listing each and every device explicitly inside your routing table, it is much easier to simply represent these all device with a single network ID, right? So single network ID actually represents all the devices which are connected to that particular network, right? So therefore, we say that it is instead of remembering the next hop IP address, it is always better that we remember the next hop network address, right? So this is called network specific method for the next hop IP method, right? So this is actually a kind of refinement or improvement over the next hop IP address based methodology, where instead of remembering the next hop IP address, now we are only remembering the next hop network address, right? And therefore we are referring all the devices which are connected in that particular network with just a single entry into our routing table, right? We already discussed previously that one of our objective is to simplify the structure of the routing table and to minimize the amount of information that we need to store inside the routing table. Why? Because the routing table is the structure which will be frequently scanned in order to find out the next hop destination, right? By next hop interface or next hop destination here, right? So we'll try to see in the forwarding process that whenever a new packet comes in, we have to check and we have to scan the entire routing table in order to find that where this packet is to be forwarded and which particular outgoing interface this particular packet is to be forwarded, right? So if the size and structure of the network table is very complex, then obviously this will require more time to search data inside the routing table, and that could actually increase our processing time, right? And that ultimately also leads to the delay in communication between source and destination. So we would like to avoid this delay. We would like to make this particular communication as fast as possible, and as a result we would like to minimize the amount of delay introduced by processing the packet on the intermediate devices, and therefore our objective is to simplify the structure of routing table and to minimize the size of the routing table, right? So by placing a network address instead of individual IP addresses, this is obviously set, reduces the it reduces the size of the network table to a great extent, because a network could have thousands of devices, but instead of listing all the devices explicitly, what you can do is you can simply list a single aggregated network ID, and that in turn actually represents the entire network, right? So that is why the network specific method is more efficient in terms of size as well as in terms of computation, when it comes to routing tables. We also discussed that the routing table need to have a default path. So the comparison that is happening in the routing table is similar to the switch case statement. So when you have a switch statement, the value is compared with case 1, then the value is compared with case 2, then the value is compared with case 3, and up to etc. so on, until we do not find a match. The moment we find a match, we'll execute that case and then we'll exit, right? We do not go and compare the next case, right? So if suppose case 1 is matching, we do not compare case 2. If case 1 is not matching, then and then we go on comparing case 2. And if case 2 is not matching, then and then we go on comparing case 3. But if case 3 is matching in, we execute the code and then we exit. We do not go on comparing case number 4. So similarly, in routing table also, we try to compare the first entry in the routing table. If it does not match, then we try to compare the second entry in the routing table. If it does not match, then we try to compare the third entry in the routing table. And let's say if the third entry is matching, then we do not go on comparing the fourth entry. We have to compare the entries in the routing table only to the point that a single match is not found. The moment we find the match, our comparison is over. We do not have to go on comparing the next values in the routing table, right? So what if none of the entries in the routing table match, right? So one question that comes into our mind is that what if none of the entries which are mentioned in the routing table are matching with the destination IP or destination network address? In this particular case, we have to have some particular route which is called the default route, which tells us that what is going to be the behavior of our router if none of the entries in the routing table is actually matching it, right? So you have to configure the default route here. So the configuration to the default router could be like either by default you forward that particular packet to a single device, right? Either it could be a sync server, right, or it could be an outside network router. So you say that okay, packet is not for the inside network, you send it to the outside router, right? Or you say that okay, if the packet is not you are not able to find that what this packet is, then you send it to a server for logging purpose, and then you try to check that what are the packets which are roaming around in the network without a proper destination information or something like that, right? So it depends on the design that what you want to put here in the default router, but there has to be a default router case available in the routing table. So this is what we discussed in the previous class, right? Now let us try to look at into the forwarding process, right? How the forwarding process takes place. So we already discussed that forwarding means when the packet comes searching for the destination address into the packet, and it needs to be sent to the appropriate outgoing interface, or it needs to be sent to the appropriate outgoing line. Now the destination address in the packet does not have any clue, right? So we said that the forwarding of the data happens on the basis of network address and not on the basis of the specific IP addresses, because the routing table actually do not contain a specific IP address. Rather, the routing tables are containing the destination network addresses, right? Because then it refers to all the devices which are connected in that particular network with a single entry. So for that purpose, we are saying that the routing table only contains network addresses of the next hop network, right, to which we'll be sending this particular packet. But what we are having inside the packet is not the network address, but we are actually having the destination IP address. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to convert this destination IP address into the network address, and then we have to match the destination network address with the next hop network address which is there in the routing table. And based on that, we have to make a decision that whether they are matching. If they are matching, then we can take up the next hop address, and then we can actually forward in and packet to the current the next hop outgoing interface, right? So this is basically is going to be the process that whenever a packet is coming in, a new packet is coming in, the first thing that you need to do is you have to extract the destination IP address from the packet. So how do you extract the destination IP of the packet? You have to process the packet, you have to open up the packet header. Remember, you are not opening up the data of the packet because network layer is actually not processing the data. Network layer is only responsible for moving data from one network to another network, or it's only responsible for moving data from one device to another device. So network layer never processes data. Network layer never opens the data part of the packet, right? So we already know that a packet is actually consists of two things. One is called the packet header and the other is called the packet data. Network layer is not responsible, or it is not interested in what is the data inside this particular packet. It is never interested in this data part of it, right? It will never open up the data part of it, right? So the only thing that it looks into is what is the header, right? What is the IP header? So it opens up the IP header, and from the IP header, we already know that IP header contains a field called destination address. So it extracts the destination address from the IP header, and after extracting the destination address from the IP header, it will start the searching process. What is the searching process? It has to match the destination IP address with one of the network addresses which are there in the IP table. So this is actually the structure of the IP table, where we have the next hop network address, we have the next hop subnet mask for the next hop network address, and then we also have a next hop IP address, right? Next hop IP address here. And then we have the outgoing interface, right? Then which particular outgoing interface this particular device or this particular packet has to be sent. So the first thing that you do is you extract the destination IP address, and then you have to compare the destination IP address with the next network address. So how do you do that? Because this is an IP address, this is a network address. How do you compare that? You have to first convert the destination address into destination network address. How do you convert the destination IP into the network address? You have the subnet mask information here. So you apply the subnet mask onto the destination IP address, and then you obtain the destination network address using the subnet mask. And then you compare the destination network address with the network address that you have in the routing table. If they both are matching, then you have the matching entry in the routing table. Then you take the next hop IP address. Using the next hop IP address, you have to get the next hop MAC address, because the communication actually happens on the physical interface using MAC address, right? Because you have to generate a data link layer frame, and this data link layer frame is to be forwarded onto the physical interface. So before actually sending this data link layer frame, you require the MAC address. From where you get the MAC address is to be obtained from the next hop IP address using the ARP protocol. So you take the destination address, you apply the subnet mask, you convert the destination address into destination network address, then you match the network address with the network address which is specified in the routing table. If there is a match, right? If there is a match, then you take the next hop IP address corresponding to that network address, and then you convert that particular IP address into the MAC address using the ARP protocol, and then you hand over this particular MAC address to the data link layer, and then the job of hand over the outgoing interface and the MAC address of this particular packet, you hand over it to the data link layer, and then the job of the network layer is over. Now the data link layer will generate a data link layer frame where it will put up this MAC address, the destination MAC address. Source MAC address is obviously the MAC address of the current device, right? It will generate a data link layer frame, and then it will place the data link layer frame on the outgoing interface here. See, remember, again, there can be multiple interfaces. We said that the router is a device which is connecting multiple networks. तो ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि उसमें एक ही एनआईसी कार्ड है, राइट, उसमें मल्टीपल एनआईसी कार्ड हो सकते हैं। तो कौन से एनआईसी कार्ड पे डेटा भेजना है, राइट, हमारे कंप्यूटर में तो एक ही एनआईसी कार्ड होता है, राइट। सो दिस इज योर डेस्कटॉप मशीन, so your desktop machine has only one NIC card and therefore it has only one connection. So by default you send and receive data from that particular connection only. But when it comes to router is actually connected to multiple network, and for every network it is connected using a single NIC card. So it is this NIC card, we called it interface or network interface, right? This is also another network interface. तो हमारे पास दो डिफरेंट नेटवर्क इंटरफेस है, तो डेटा कहां पे भेजना है, मैं डेटा लिंक लेयर का फ्रेम जनरेट कर रहा हूं, this data link layer frame has to be forwarded on which interface? Should I forward that frame on this outgoing interface or should I forward the frame on this particular interface? तो कौन से इंटरफेस पे डेटा भेजना है वो भी इंपॉर्टेंट है। आपको नेक्स्ट हॉप आईपी के ऊपर से मैक एड्रेस मिल जाएगा, डेटा लिंक लेयर का फ्रेम बन जाएगा, लेकिन डेटा लिंक लेयर का फ्रेम कौन से आउटगोइंग इंटरफेस पे भेजना है, बिकॉज देयर आर मल्टीपल इंटरफेसेस नाउ, देयर इज नो सिंगल एनआईसी कार्ड, देयर आर मल्टीपल एनआईसी कार्ड, देयर आर मल्टीपल पोर्ट्स अवेलेबल ऑन द राउटर. So which port I should send this data out, that is also very important to know, right? So that information is also available inside the routing table. तो routing table आपको बताता है कि ये next hop IP एड्रेस है, next hop IP एड्रेस में से आप MAC एड्रेस निकालोगे और MAC एड्रेस का यूज करके डेटा लिंक लेयर फ्रेम बनाओगे और डेटा लिंक लेयर फ्रेम बना के वो इस आउटगोइंग इंटरफेस पे आपको सेंड करना है. सो यू हैव टू इंस्ट्रक्ट द फिजिकल लेयर, द कोरस्पोंडिंग फिजिकल लेयर. सो एवरी इंटरफेस हैज इट्स ओन फिजिकल लेयर. So you have to instruct the corresponding physical layer of that interface that you please put this particular frame on the outgoing channel, right? So that is what you mean by the forwarding process. I hope the forwarding process is clear. Once again, I am repeating it. You receive the packet, you extract the destination IP address. Now from the destination IP address, you start the searching process. In the searching process, you take the first entry from the routing table. You get the subnet mask value of the first entry. You apply the subnet mask to the destination IP address. You convert the destination address into network address. You compare that network address with the network address present in the routing table. If they do not match, then you go to the next entry. You again take the next subnet mask and again you apply the subnet mask to the destination IP address. You get the destination network address, match it with the entry which is there in the routing table. If it does not match, you again go to the next entry. And let's say the next entry is matching. So in the next entry is matching the network address here provided in the routing table is matching with the network address that you have computed from the destination IP address. If they are matching, then you take the next hop IP address. From the next hop IP address, you use the ARP protocol to get the next hop MAC address, right? And using that MAC address, you form the data link layer. You also required the outgoing interface information. So this outgoing interface information as well as this next hop MAC address is then handed over to the data link layer, and then the data link layer will formulate a frame, and that frame is handed over to the corresponding outgoing interface so that the frame can be placed onto the outgoing channel, right? So that is what the entire forwarding process is, right? So the important thing to remember here that the searching actually takes place in the switch case manner. So you compare the first case. If it is matching, then you do not compare anything else. You simply stop the process and get the IP address and MAC address and then hand over that information to the data link layer and your job is over, right? But if the first entry do not match, then you go to the second entry. If the second entry do not match, then you go to the third entry. And if none of the entries are matching here, then you have a default case here. Then you do whatever the default case is suggesting you to do, right? So that is how the forwarding process happens in the routing table. So in the classless addressing, we also need to store this mask information, right? If suppose you are using a classful addressing, then probably you do not need to store the mask information, because based on the value of the first byte or first decimal value, you can came to know that what is going to be the value of the subnet mask. If it is starting from 192, then it is 24 subnet mask. If it is starting from 172, then it is say 16-bit subnet mask. It is starting from 10, then it is 1 byte subnet mask, right? Or 8-bit subnet mask. But if you are using a classless addressing scheme, then we know that in the classless addressing scheme, the value of the subnet mask cannot be fixed. It is dynamic, right? So therefore, in the routing table, along with the next hop network address, along with the network address of the destination and the next hop IP address, you also need to store the value of the subnet mask itself. So that by using the subnet mask, you can actually convert the destination address into network address, and then you can do the comparison between the obtained network address and the network address which is available in the routing table, right? So this is going to be the structure of the routing table in most modern routing softwares or most modern routing devices, because most of the devices nowadays are working on the classless addressing scheme. We are no longer using the classful addressing scheme, right? So therefore, most of the devices that you see in the market today, they'll be supporting classless addressing scheme. And since they are supporting the classless routing, they will be having a subnet mask as one of the field inside the routing table. So let us try to consider a realistic, a hypothetical scenario, and let us try to see that what is going to be the structure of the routing table, right? So this is actually a kind of a structure where we say that there is a particular router R1. This particular router R1 is having 4 interface. So the first interface is M0. Interface means it is a NIC card. It is the network port, right? So for every network port is called an interface, and every network port allows you to connect the router to a different network. So for example, the first port, that is M0, or the interface M0, is allowing the router to connect with this network 180.70.65.128. The second port M1 allows the router to connect with this network 201.4.16.0. Interface M3, that is the third port, M2, is allowing the router to connect to this network. And then, so you have M0, M1, M2, and M3. M3 is actually allowing a router to connect to this particular network. So the single router R1 is now connected to 4 different networks here, right, with port number M0, M1, M2, and M3. So now let us try to see what is going to be the structure of the routing table. So the structure of the routing table for this particular case is going to be equal to like this. First entry is the subnet mask of the network. Second entry is the network address. The third entry is the next hop IP address. And the fourth entry is going to be the interface on which it is connected. The next hop address कहाँ पे connected है? कौन से interface पे next hop address connected है? उस interface का नाम. So let us consider the first one. It is 180.70.65.192/26. So we know that in this particular notation, this is the IP address, and /26 refers to the subnet mask value. तो सबसे पहला एंट्री क्या आएगा यहाँ पे? /26, that is the subnet mask value. What is the network address? The network address corresponding to this is 180.70.65.192. So 180.70.65.192. So you have a subnet mask, you have a network address, right? Now this network is reachable. How it is reachable? Via any next hop device? No. So this particular network 180.70.65.192, this particular network is directly connected to R1. There is no intermediate device present here. It is directly connected to R1, right? Since this network is directly connected to R1, there is no next hop device, right? So you can simply use the destination address as the next hop address, right? If there is no next hop device, right, that is if the network is directly connected, then you can simply use the destination IP address as a next hop address, right? Because then you can directly send the packet to the destination because it is directly connected. Right? यहाँ पे कोई next hop device नहीं है. There is no next hop device here because it is directly connected with R1. So therefore, the next hop address is dash. When the next hop address is dash, तो MAC address कैसे मिलेगा? When the next hop entry is dash, means that the device is directly connected, and therefore you have to use the destination IP address directly, and you have to get the MAC address for the destination IP address, and then you have to give that, hand over that MAC address along with the outgoing interface. अब ये कौन से interface पे connected है? ये जो network है वो directly connected है, लेकिन directly कौन से interface पे connected है? हमारे पास तो 4 interface है, M0 है, M1 है, M2 है, M3 है. तो कौन से interface पे connected है? So this network 180.70.65.192, this is actually connected on the interface M2. तो यहाँ पे उसका outgoing interface जो है, that is M2, right? So I hope that makes sense. Right. Similarly, now the next IP address is /25. Right. So the IP address, the corresponding network address is 180.70.65.128. So subnet mask is 25. Network ID is 180.70.65.128. Do we have any next hop here? No, because it is directly connected. So next hop IP will be dash. And what is the outgoing interface? Since it is connected on interface M0, then the outgoing interface value is going to be equal to M0. You can verify this here, that the subnet mask is /25. The IP address is 180.60.70.65.128. So this is .128 here. And then the next hop address is dash because it is directly connected. And the outgoing interface is M0 because this network is connected on the port M0. Right? So 26/26/25. Then /24, that is the third entry. Remember, the routing table is always sorted based on the longest subnet mask to the smallest subnet mask. ऐसा क्यों है? Because the longest subnet mask is the most specific address, right? As you increase the value of the subnet mask, you are moving up into the hierarchy, right? तो आप क्या कर रहे हो? You are doing generalization. You are trying to refer to a generalized address. When you have a longer subnet mask, it is a very specific address. But when you have a shorter subnet mask, it is a generalized address. So we always have to compare the longest subnet mask first, then we have to compare the shorter. So हम लोग को पहले specific address को पहले compare करना है, generalized address को बाद में compare करना है. We'll try to see an example that why it is important to compare the longest subnet mask first and then the shorter subnet mask later on. So therefore, the entries in the routing table are always sorted based on the length of the subnet mask. So the highest subnet mask entry will always be on the top and the lowest subnet mask entry will always be on the bottom. And finally, in the default route, you don't have any subnet mask. That is, the subnet mask is equal to 0. That is, that this will match to any IP address, right? So if you have any IP address, it will match with this particular address, right? /0 means what? See, /26 means what? When you can say that this is a match, the input address is said to be matched with this address if the first 26 bits of the input address are matching with the first 26 bits of this address, then you can say that it is a match. /25 means the first 25 bits of the input address should be matching with this address, then you can say it is a match. /24 means the first 24 bits of the input address should be matching with this address or this network address. And when I say /0 means what? 0 bit should be matching with this address. 0 bits matching means it is always matching. So therefore it is called a default case. So default case is always actually, it is always matching with a given IP address, right? कोई भी IP address आप दोगे, it is always matching because you are not required to match any byte. It will by default, it is a match. Okay. So that is how the entries in the routing tables are sorted. So we have seen the entry of for 26 mask. We have /25. Now the next entry is for /24. So the subnet mask value is /24. The network address in the address table is 201.4.22.0. It is a directly connected network. So next hop IP address is dash, and it is connected on the outgoing interface M3. So therefore the outgoing interface here is going to be equal to M3. And similarly, on this side we have the least subnet mask, that is /22. Sorry. So the subnet mask entry is /22. The IP address is 201.4.16.0. The outgoing interface is M1 and it is directly connected. Therefore, we don't have any entry here in the next hop column, right? So if you match this IP address, then you forward on to M2. If the first 20 byte is matching with this IP, then you forward it on M0. If the first 24 is matching on this entry, this IP, this network address, then you forward it to M3. If the first 22 bits are matching with this network address, you forward it to M1. Else, if the packet is meant for this network or this network or this network or this network, else what you will do? Else we say that you send it to the rest of the network. Where is the rest of the network connected? Rest of the network is connected via this particular outgoing interface. This is the next hop IP, right? So now it is not directly connected. If the packet is not meant for any of this network, then that particular packet is meant for the outside network. What is outside network? It may be an internet, right? It may be a public network, we don't know. So this is our organization. You can think of this as an organization. So we have, say, a medical building, we have a dental building, we have a pharmacy building, and then we have a engineering building. And this is our router, which actually tells us that, you know, if you have the packet which is going from medical to dental or dental to pharmacy or pharmacy to engineering building, that is fine. But if you have a packet which is not meant for any of this address, that is you are trying to access something which is outside our network, right? Or you are trying to access something in the public network. So how does the public network is connected? Public network is connected via this perimeter router, and say the IP address of this perimeter router is 180.70.65.200, right? So this is an IP address, right? Next hop IP address. So if the packet is not matching with any of the network, इस पैकेट को कहां पे हम लोग फॉरवर्ड करेंगे? इस राउटर को फॉरवर्ड करेंगे, और इस राउटर को जैसे ही हम लोग फॉरवर्ड करेंगे, वो इन टर्न send this particular packet to the outgoing public address or rest of the network. We don't know how it will do it or where it is connected. We are not sure. But only thing that we know is that if the address is not matching with any of the four network, then it is probably the outside network address, and therefore we have to send it to this IP address or this IP address here. What is that IP address? 180.180.70.65.200. तो ये जो है आपका कहां पे आ गया? यहाँ पे नेक्स्ट हॉप IP एड्रेस में आ गया. तो ये हमारा डिफॉल्ट केस बन गया कि इफ सपोज इट इज नॉट मैचिंग विद एनी ऑफ दिस, देन यू हैंड ओवर इट टू द नेक्स्ट हॉप IP एड्रेस 180.70.65.200 which is connected on the outgoing interface M2. कहां पे कनेक्टेड है ये? M2. Actually this router is part of this network. 180.70.65.192 जो है ना, वो नेटवर्क का पार्ट है, right? But it is one particular device inside this network or one particular next IP address to whom we will be forwarding this data, right? तो उसका जो कहां पे connected है, again it is connected on the interface M2 only. So we say that for any other packet you hand it over to this next hop IP, and then this is going to be the outgoing interface for it. समझ में आ रहा है? So that is how the routing table entries can be formulated by looking at the structure of the network. Now if you have any doubt, I am taking a little bit pause here because this is important. आपको एग्जाम में ऐसे सम्स दिए जाएंगे that we will give you the topology of the network, and from the topology of the network we will ask you to construct the routing table for the given router, right? So we make sure that you understand this, make sure that you try to grasp this concept easily, and if you have any doubt, you are free to raise your doubt right now. Okay, so once this structure is clear, once the how this routing table is generated from the structure is clear, then we'll try to look at the process that what will happen when the packet is having certain destination address. We'll look at the process then, right? So if the structure is clear, you can type yes if it is clear so that I can move forward. Okay, so once the structure is clear, now let us try to understand what will happen in certain cases. So remember this routing table in mind, considering this routing table in mind. Let us consider a case where we receive the packet which is having destination IP address is equal to 180.70.65.140. Let us consider a case where we receive the packet which is having destination address equal to 180.70.65.180. क्या होगा? The router performs following matching process, right? सबसे पहले क्या करेगा? This will take the first entry in the routing table. The first entry in the routing table is 180.70.65.192 and subnet mask is equal to 26. So first the 26 subnet mask is applied to this network, right? तो अगर इसमें आप subnet 26 subnet mask apply करोगे, इसका meaning क्या है? You keep the first 26 byte as it is and you make all the remaining byte equal to 0. What do you mean by applying subnet mask here? You keep the first 26 byte as it is, you make all the remaining bytes equal to 0. So this is first 8 byte, 16 byte, 24 byte, so this does not change. Then 26 means we have 2 more bytes here, so those 2 bytes, right, we have to keep the first 2 bytes as it is and all remaining bytes we have to make it equal to 0, right? Okay, so if we do that, then the first 2 bytes are 1 and all other bytes will be 0. So therefore this value is going to be equal to 1. First byte is 10 and all other bytes are 0. So therefore this particular value is going to be equal to 128. देखो ये आपको सीखना पड़ेगा कि how do you convert binary into decimal, decimal into binary, probably because you have to do it fast, right? Because you probably do not have much time to compute this thing, right? So if you rely I mean, you have to do enough practice, right? And you have to compute these values really very quickly, right? Otherwise, you will not be able to finish the sum in the stipulated time. Okay. So if you can, what is the binary equivalent of 140? And then from that, you keep the first 2 bytes as it is and make all of the remaining bytes 0. Then the value that you will be getting here is equal to 128. Okay. So the resulting address is, by applying 26 mask, the resulting address is 180.70.65.128. Is this address matching with the network address here? Is this address matching with the network address here? We have 180.70.65 and 192. Here it is 180.70.65 and 128. So obviously this particular address is not matching with the subnet mask, not matching with this network address here. So the first entry is not matching. So since the first entry is not matching, what we'll do? We'll go and match the second entry. What is the second entry? The subnet mask is equal to /25. When the subnet mask is /25 is applied, you make the first 25 bits as it is, and all other bits are converted into 0. So again, when you do this, this is 8-bit, 16-bit, 24-bit, and the first bit of the last byte has to be kept as it is, and all other bits are required to be made 0. So again, when you do that, you will realize that the resulting address is same 180.70.65.128, and then you try to match it here. It is 180.70.65.128. So the destination packet IP address, right? This one, the network address corresponding to the destination IP address. So this is a destination IP address. The network address corresponding to the destination IP address is this one. So destination network address or network address corresponding to the destination IP is matching with the network address of the second entry. Therefore, you say that this particular packet is meant for this network. Packet is meant for this network here. Ye wala. Therefore, now you have to forward this packet to this outgoing interface M0. So you have to forward this packet onto the outgoing interface M0. लेकिन फॉरवर्ड करने से पहले फ्रेम बनाना पड़ेगा. फ्रेम बनाने से पहले उसका मैक एड्रेस चाहिए. मैक एड्रेस कहां से मिलेगा? मैक एड्रेस यू हैव टू ऑब्टेन फ्रॉम द नेक्स्ट होप आईपी एड्रेस. लेकिन यहां पे तो कोई नेक्स्ट होप आईपी एड्रेस है ही नहीं. व्हाई वी डोंट हैव अ नेक्स्ट होप आईपी एड्रेस हियर? बिकॉज दिस नेटवर्क इज डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड नेटवर्क. मतलब ये जो डिवाइस है, ये जो आईपी एड्रेस है, इट इज डायरेक्टली अवेलेबल इन दिस नेटवर्क. देयरफॉर now I have to take this destination IP address because there is no next hop address. The destination is directly connected, and therefore I have to directly take this destination address, find out the corresponding MAC address, and that MAC address along with the interface number M0 I have to pass to data link layer. Right? So the next hop address and interface number is M0 are passed to ARP. So first will ARP come into picture. So आपका जो destination IP है ये वाला, that you pass to ARP. ARP will find out the MAC address for this destination address. It will give you the MAC address and the outgoing interface M0. You have to hand over to the data link layer. So data link layer will now formulate a frame with the MAC address of the destination, and that frame is circulated on this particular outgoing interface. That is, it is circulated on this network. So that is how the process will happen. Let us consider this case here, 201.4.22.35. First 26 mask, keep the first 25 bits as it is, 26 bits as it is, make all other bits 0. Right? So this is as it is, this is as it is, this is as it is. Keep the first 2 bits of this last byte as it is, make all other bits 0. So this is going to be equal to 0. So it is 201.4.22.0. Try to match it. It doesn't match. Okay, then you try to match in the second case. What is the second case? Subnet mask is 25. So keep the first 25 bit as it is. Make all other bits 0. Again, the value is 201.4.22.0. Match with the second entry in the table. Doesn't match with the second entry. This 192.180.70. So it doesn't match. Try to match the third entry. The third subnet mask is 24. So you keep the first 24 bits as it is, make all other bits 0. So this is 8, 16 and 24 bits. They are as it is. The last bits all are made 0. So you get this value again, same value 201.4.22.0, and then you match with the address which is available in the routing table, right? It is also 201.4.22.0. So you get the match in the third case. So therefore, you outgoing interface is going to be equal to M3. So you hand over the outgoing interface and the IP address. What is the IP address? 201.4.22.35, right? You hand over that to ARP. ARP will find out the corresponding MAC address, and now using that MAC address and using the outgoing interface M3, you generate a frame, and that frame is circulated on this network. M3 interface on this network, right? So that is how the forwarding process takes place. Okay, what is going to be the forwarding process here? 18.24.32.78. क्या forwarding process होगा? As you can see that this doesn't match with anything. It doesn't match with 180, 180, 201, 201. So ultimately, this particular frame would be forwarded to next hop IP address, this one, 180.70.65.200. So what this routing table, it won't match the first one, second one, third one, and fourth one. Therefore, it will match with the default entry, and with the default route, now you will take the next hop IP address, a 180.70.60.200, find out the corresponding MAC address using ARP. So you get the MAC address of this IP address, and you know that it is connected on interface M2. So you generate a frame. So this particular packet will be now forwarded to this IP address on this outgoing interface. So this packet will be now forwarded to this IP address, this router here on outgoing interface M2. So obviously, in order to forward it, you require to have a MAC address for this router. You have an IP address of the router. You know that the IP address is 180.70.65.200, but you required a MAC address. So therefore, you have to first run ARP. ARP will give you the MAC address for this IP address, and then using that MAC address, you generate a frame, and you send that frame on the outgoing interface M2. So then the packet is forwarded to this router. Now this router will in turn forward the packet to the internet. अब इसके साथ क्या करना है, ये कौन डिसाइड करेगा? ये राउटर डिसाइड करेगा. इसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी खत्म. Router 1 has to just send the packet here. That is it. Okay. So that is going to be the forwarding process. So now let us try to look at another concept called the route aggregation. So route aggregation is also another very important aspects of the routing table, which allows us to further reduce or compress the size of the routing table. So what is the idea? The idea is that if we store the routing information for all the given blocks, right? Again, see, what we are doing is that instead of storing individual IP addresses, now we are storing the network addresses, right? But assuming that all these network addresses are belonging to the same block. So do we need to store the individual network addresses, or should I store the entire block, right? I think when we were doing this subnetting and supernetting, all of us are aware that you have a root network, right? And this root network is in turn divided into subnetwork, and the subnetwork is in turn divided into sub-subnetwork and up to etc. so on. So supposing your organization has multiple subnetwork, right? And then is it required for us to maintain each and every subnetwork in the routing table, or those subnetwork can be combined together into a super network, right? And then we only maintain the entry for that particular super network in the routing table. So this process of combining the subnetwork into a larger block, this is called the aggregation process, right? So instead of storing the individual network addresses, because an organization will have many different networks and subnetworks. So again, this is going to be a very huge amount, right? Because there are so many networks and subnetworks, and we know that internet is actually a hierarchical design, right? So we have, let's say, ISP and local ISP and regional ISP, national ISP, regional ISP, local ISP, and so on. So therefore, this is going to be a huge amount of networks and subnetwork. So instead of storing the information about each and every network and subnetwork, it is a good idea to store entire network block, right? That is, the aggregation of all subnetworks are combined into a single IP address, and then we need to store that particular single IP address itself, right? instead of storing the entire network. So all addresses that belong to the same block can be represented by a single entry in the routing table. Let us try to understand this by example. Suppose we are the internet service provider and this is our network block 140.24.7. This is our block. So we are serving 4 organizations, organization 1, 2, 3 and 4, and all these different organizations we have allocated different blocks. So this organization, the network ID is 140.24.7.0/26, 7.64/26, 7.128/26 and up to etc. so on. Right? So as a network service provider, I have divided my network into 4 different sub network, and each sub network is allocated to an organization. Right? You understand the scenario? This is the sub network service provider. For example, this is the IceNet service provider of which is there in Ahmedabad, and IceNet is in turn providing service to DDU. IceNet is in turn providing service to Changa. IceNet is in turn providing service to GSET. IceNet is in turn providing service to BVM. चारों की चारों कॉलेज एक ही सर्विस प्रोवाइडर के पास से इंटरनेट सर्विस ले रही है. So this is like that. You have a service provider. As a service provider, you divide your network into 4 sub network and then you allocate that IP to each and every organization. Right? But when somebody sees from the outside, do they have to remember the individual organization that okay, this is DDU, this is Changa, this is BVM, and this is GSET? For them, all of these 4 organizations are part of the single network service provider. So what we can do is that instead of having 4 different entries in the routing table /26, so how do I formulate the routing table of R1? Oh, sorry, how is the routing table of R2 formulated? So routing table of R2 says that okay, this network 140.24.7.0 is reachable, right? Or maybe so this is a routing table of R1. So routing table of R1 says that this network 140.24.7.0 is connected directly on M0. This network 140.24.7.64 is connected directly on M1. This is connected directly on M2. This is connected directly on M3. So this is the entry /26. This address here 140.27.0. Next hop is dash. Why? Because it is directly connected. And the outgoing interface is M0, this is M1, M2, M3 and so on. What is going to be the routing table on R2? So routing table on R2, there are 2 possibilities here. The first possibility is that I can remember individual address. How do I enter individual address? I say that okay, 140./24. So let me try to put it that way. If I want to put it an individual entry here, how do I put the individual entries? How do I put the individual entries here? So let me try to explain this, hide this for a while, and let me try to put the individual entries here. How do I put individual entries here? Right, so subnet mask is /26. The IP address is 140.24. I am not repeating it. 140.24-7. This is common, so I am not repeating it. So 7.0. Right, this is the entry, and then this 7.0, I'm talking about routing table on R2. So this network 7.0 is reachable via which? This R1. Okay, so this is the IP address, so I have to remember this as a next hop. So this is not directly connected network. So this network is now reachable via R1. So I have to find out the IP address of this port. Okay, let us call this IP address as R1. So next hop IP is R1. And outgoing interface, कौन से interface पे connected है R1? R1 is connected on my interface M0. Hope this makes sense. So second entry is /26. The prefix remains the same, 140.24.7, 7.64 now. Again, it is connected via the next hop IP address. IP address of this, so let us consider the IP address of this is R1. Here, IP address of this outgoing interface, and this interface is connected via outgoing port M0. See, outgoing port of this, we are talking about routing table of this, right? ये जो किसका routing table है? This is a routing table of दिस राउटर। तो ये राउटर से कहां पे कनेक्टेड है? R1 is connected on which port of this router? It is connected on M0. So this is we do not write it M4, right? M4 is the port of R1. We are talking about routing table of R2. So we have to say that, okay, R1 is connected on which outgoing port of R2? So R1 is connected on M0 port of R2. So therefore the interface, the next hop interface is M0, right? Similarly, you can have a third entry like 26 and then prefix, common prefix 140.24.7.128 and so on, right? So you will be having 4 such entries here. You will be having 4 such entries here. Okay. Hope that makes sense. So you have 26 common prefix 7.192. Again, next hop IP R1, next hop IP of R1, same port M0, same port M0. So ultimately you have 4 entries here, but for all the 4 entries, the next hop IP is same, the outgoing interface is also same. So this is a kind of repeated information. Can I convert all these 4 entry into the single one? Yes. How do I convert? What I'll do is I'll take the common prefix and discard the remaining differences. Okay. So what is the common prefix? You see 140.24.7 is common. What is changing here is this one, right? So the entire subnet 7.0 network is divided into 4 subnetworks. 7.0, 7.64, 7.120 and 7.190, right? तो these are the सब नेटवर्क. ये सब नेटवर्क को मैं कंबाइन करूंगा. कंबाइन करने के लिए मैं क्या करूंगा यहाँ पे? I let go the first 2 bytes. Let go the first 2 bits of the last byte, right? So instead of 64, अगर मुझे नेटवर्क को सब नेटवर्क में डिवाइड करना है तो सबनेट मास्क बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. That is, I borrow the bits from the host ID to net ID. अगर मुझे सबनेट में डिवाइड करना है, इसको बोलते हैं सबनेटिंग. अगर मुझे सुपर नेटिंग करना है, सुपर नेटिंग का मतलब क्या है कि सब नेटवर्क्स को कंबाइन करके बड़ा नेटवर्क में कन्वर्ट करना है, देन इन दैट केस आई हैव टू बोरो द बिट्स फ्रॉम नेट आईडी एंड मेक इट इक्वल टू होस्ट आईडी. तो सबनेट को मुझे छोटा करना पड़ेगा. दी नेटवर्क जो सबनेट मास्क है उसको मुझे छोटा करना पड़ेगा. इंस्टेड ऑफ इंक्रीजिंग इट बाय बोरोइंग बिट्स फ्रॉम द होस्ट नेटवर्क, होस्ट आईडी, नाउ आई हैव टू reduce it and send some bits into the host ID or convert some bit into the host ID. So instead of 26, if I reduce that to 24, if I reduce this to 24, if I reduce this to 24, then what I need to worry about is only first 24 bit. The last bit does not make any sense, right? So this bit will become 0. Whatever be the value here, that doesn't make any sense. So this will be 0 and then this will be 0. So now these are exactly 4 identical entries in the routing table, which can then be converted into a single entry. Yes. Okay? Which can then be converted into a single entry. Right? So this is called route aggregation. I have combined 4 different routes into a single one. Okay, so I hope this idea of route aggregation is clear. So we'll stop today, and in the next class we'll try to see that how we'll do forwarding process when you have this route aggregation implemented in your routing table, right? So what is the change in the forwarding process that you can see, right, when you have route aggregation implemented in the routing table. Okay, so if you have any doubt related to